Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today I am doing a first impressions video. It's been almost a year since I did sort of a review type video. I really want to get back into doing these, or actually get into a routine of doing these, because this is something that I had wanted to do originally when I started making videos. It's just really so much easier to just talk about everything all at once, but I really want to take the time and actually talk about titles individually, so this will be the first and hopefully not the last in upcoming weeks and months. The title that I want to talk about is Siúil La Rune, The Girl from the Other Side, Volume 1 by Nagabe. I have not read Volume 2, it is currently out now, but I did read Volume 1 and it is absolutely the most beautiful manga I have read in so long. It is so precious and so incredibly atmospheric in a way that is truly unexpected. From the cover, it definitely gives off a feeling of a folktale. It definitely has kind of a dark look to it. It's essentially about two sides. There's the light side and the dark side, or the outside and the inside. And this is sort of based off of a fairy tale itself, or a folk tale itself, where the two sides have split and anything on the outside is evil and cursed, and it can corrupt the light side, which is the inside. And so a child from the inside, who is this little child here, is somehow abandoned on the outside, and she ends up being taken care of by this mysterious figure here. He takes care of her very preciously, and he's very careful with her and very gentle with her. And not only is he careful with her, just sort of like protecting her physically, he also is protecting her emotionally, because she has been abandoned. And he is sort of trying to keep her kind of happy and not kind of spoil her innocence by telling her that she has been abandoned. So it's very atmospheric. It is very sweet in the relationship between this child and this supposed monster. He doesn't have any expressions. He doesn't have a mouth. He cannot eat. But he is protecting her, and it's just very sweet with a dark, sinister edge to it. So, not a whole lot happens in this first volume, but it does have a big kind of twist or mysterious moment at the very end that makes you kind of gasp with what is going to happen next. Because it is so incredibly atmospheric, you know that this has to turn in a dark direction at some point, but at the moment, because the monster is so gentle and because the girl is so sweet, it is a very light and kind of a almost joyful little story, or maybe very much like a picture book, like a very juvenile picture book. It is told very simply and very sweetly, and then of course this bad thing is going to happen, and because they are this evil outside cursed thing. Even the art style in this is different than you would get in a lot of manga. Most of the layout is very dark, and the illustrations of the primary characters are not so much that they would fit into standard manga. They definitely look like they have been taken out of children's picture books. They definitely have a different rendering. Just the way that their features are expressed, the way that their hands are expressed. It definitely is more of a kind of realism in the fantasy, I guess. There's more of a realism to these artistic expression than I would get from manga, which tends to, in general, be kind of more iconographic, like more symbolic in the shapes. So this, I think, is more indicative of picture books, which in turn makes me think more of folk tales, and it just, adds to the atmosphere of the story in general because I have that reference point to go back to. So I thought it was beautifully handled. So my first impressions, obviously, I thought that this was absolutely beautiful. It was absolutely stunning, and the artwork in it is gorgeous. The story in it is so quiet in its atmosphere and so intriguing in its potential mystery and the kind of the dark fringes of what this story can be that I am completely drawn in. I wanted to read this immediately after I finished reading it. And then what I actually did when I was done reading it is I looked up Siúil because I didn't know what these words meant, and obviously they come from a language that is not Japanese. So I did look it up. It is from a Celtic song which is called Run My Love or Walk My Love, or Siúil, and basically it is the song of a woman lamenting her man who has been lost to the war. So I listened to the song, and it is very atmospheric and very beautiful, and I think after this video I probably will go back and listen to that song while I read this because I want the atmosphere, but I don't actually know if that song itself influenced this story. But the song itself, like if you listen to it, it's a Celtic song, you know, with some Gaelic lyrics, and it's very kind of melancholic. It has a very sweet tempo that really does match to the atmosphere, I think, of this book. So actually I would say if you've read this and you like it, you should probably try and listen to the music while you read it and just see if that changes your impression of it or if you think that influences it all, because I always like to see how things influence each other. And yeah, I will be doing that probably after this video and just seeing how that kind of works together. I don't think the song itself, though, I was having a hard time with what the lyrics were and trying to figure out how that connected to this at all. But definitely the song Melancholy really kind of suits this. The world is separated and divided, and there's a lot of anger and evil in that anger. So it's really, really worth reading. It does say on the back all ages, so I suspect it doesn't get incredibly dark. I would recommend it to any reader, even if you're not a manga reader. I would highly recommend this, especially if you like folk or fairy tale type storytelling at all. This one is just beautiful and definitely deserves more hype here. So obviously loved it, highly recommend it, and you should read it if you haven't read it yet. Only 2 volumes out as far as I know. Don't know how long the series is going to be, but it's going to be worth your while for sure. Anyway, that's my first impressions of Siúil. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye for now.